Hello, you can see the panel's in place. We're ready. It's Tuesday, the 16th of September. Holiday, one day away now. 2025, 3 years since Jodie was in the TARDIS, and she has given her deepest dive interview with Benjamin Cook in the Doctor Who magazine. So we will look at the headlines from that, reread it so you don't have to. It's a full panel, as you can see. We've got media savvy people, we've got actors, and we've got Ryan. We've got the lot. We're covering everybody here. So please like and subscribe. As me and Rachel are learning now, you don't just say like, give us a hype. Give us a hype.
Oh, yeah, that's a new thing, isn't it? Give us a hype. Come on.
Sounds a bit American. Give me some hype.
Give me the hype in.
Anyway, we did a live show last night, as some of you may have seen. And of course, that's where we had a word with Shooty having to wrestle with himself. It's possible. It's possible. I didn't see Joe making a comment about that, thinking it was possible. And of course, tonight is all about Judge Jodie. Got to say it slowly. And it's all because of the fact that she had her era. It's now all nicely locked away, and she's been talking about it in this big deep dive in the latest Doctor Who magazine, and there it is. Advertising over. Okay, folks, I should give you the headlines for tonight. There you go. Playing the Doctor as Neurodivergent. Reaction to the appearance of Billie as the Doctor. How she loved the challenge of the role. Her scene with Shooty, her regeneration, the timeless children, the Yas and Doctor love story. Oh my God, do you think it's going to keep us busy tonight, Joe?
Just a bit.
I mean, whoa, which one of them gets you going already, just from seeing the title?
Well, playing the Doctor's Neurodivergent is going to get me as a diagnosed neurodivergent lady of a similar age. That's appeal. That I actually can't wait to talk about all of this. This is really juicy. Thank you.
Yeah, Rachel, what's grabbing your eye?
I'm probably talking about the love of the challenge of the role, because I could probably relate to that.
And you know, Rachel, I love having you on, but I love being able to ask you the acting questions as well.
Yeah, I know. And I can't wait to answer them.
And Ryan, I'm not asking. No, Ryan, is it the love story that you want to hear about?
No. Personally, couldn't really give a crap about any of that. If I had to pick one, probably Timeless Children, to see if she actually tries and justifies that in any way, shape, or form. But quite frankly, I don't care.
And that's why we've got Ryan on, for a bit of truth and sanity.
For a bit of the blasé.
God, you know what? You've been trying to get me back the last 2 months. God help you. I am so sorry.
And I will say at the moment, and this is where I might have to ask Rachel, Joe's, and Ryan's help, as well as Jamie downstairs and Garbage, is for some reason they're not showing me the thread tonight. It just seems to suddenly have just clicked off. So if you do see anything tasty, do tell me, because I can't at the moment see that. So I'm not ignoring you, thread. I know you're there. It's just I'll steam on, okay?
Yeah.
So
I can see them, so.
Okay. Yeah. Well, obviously, please give us a few tasty ones when you can. Right. Here's a few kind of pre-headlines. What about this one? Yeah, I'll just show you this on the big screen for a moment. She said in the Doctor magazine that she was given the chance to change her mind and stay on for 4th series. I honestly don't know how that would have worked, says this production team writer. Can you imagine? I'll come to you, Joe. Can you imagine for another year of Jodie's Doctor?
No, they were exhausted. They were done. They were. The boat had sank by then. What the hell were they going to come up with to encourage us back to watch? I'd love to know.
Exactly. Plus, she was pregnant, so that wouldn't have been good.
No.
Throwing a pregnant woman around.
No, it wouldn't. And Ryan doesn't give a crap, so we're covered.
No, but the numbers had already fallen off a cliff. Really? Yeah. How are they going to justify it? It was an experiment that clearly failed. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. So there you go. That's just a taster, everybody. She was asked to stay on, apparently. So, whew, God, we missed one there. Anyway, this is all from the magazine, of course. Chris Chibnall was so celebratory about the fact that my audition, Jodie's audition, wasn't me trying to prove my Doctor Who qualifications. There's another taster for you.
Since when did casting, sorry, when do auditions prove your qualifications?
Huh?
You just got to show that you're right.
Surely she should be trying to prove them.
Yeah, I mean, when I go for job interviews, when I did do, by the way, retired, and when I did used to go for job interviews, you researched the place, you checked up on some of their policies and all the rest of it. You tried to impress. I do get this, Ryan, that we can't just have Doctor Who lead actors who happen to be Whovians, and so you don't want them in the auditions proving that they know how to twiddle with their bow tie and stuff. You know, if it was all meta crap. You know, you want a good actor, don't you?
Well, yes, but quite frankly, and as I have always said, in my opinion, she was never a good actor in the first place. But, you know, desperate times, desperate measures. That has only just gotten worse since Jodie and them Shooty got, well, oh, God. Oh, I'm on a roll tonight.
Why did I invite him back? He's obviously had the counselling's not worked.
No.
Anyway, so yes, that's another little taster that you'll see a bit later as well. And just to help us all along, she does kind of add a bit here. Well, a lot of it also comes from feeling unqualified. That had nothing to do with my gender. It was the fact that I wasn't a Whovian at the time. I hadn't watched it growing up. It was scary coming in, not as part of the fandom. I just say, okay, I understand that. Fair enough. But why go for a job if you don't know anything about it? Unless you just want a bit of that.
That's just what it was, a bit of that and proving a point, wasn't it? They were doing it to spite people.
Rachel, have you
was
gone for an audition? Oh, sorry, Ryan.
Plenty of auditions, yeah.
Have you been for an audition where you've done no prep? Where you don't really know much? Say it was Shakespeare, but I haven't done much prep on it. You know, because that's kind of what she sounds as though she's saying there.
Yeah, I wouldn't get away with it, but just that there are auditions that you do go to with no prep. You don't know what you're going to get. That those types of auditions do exist. However, she's auditioning with Doctor Who, then technically she should know what she's going to get. So she should have at least some basic knowledge before she goes into it.
Yeah. And Joe Martin had been in before her. Am I right? Joe Martin appeared before her?
Just after her, isn't it?
She appeared in the Revenge in the Fugitive of the Jadoon, which was one of Jodie's.
One of Jodie's, right? So Jodie was okay. She was in fact the first female. Okay, sorry, I was thinking maybe she'd come. Gosh, I can't remember. Okay.
Now I've got Donald Cowie here saying, I read that Jodie was the choice actor, that 2 actors had turned down the role. I'll tell you a lot more tonight, Donald Cowie, that actually it was an all-female list. And she had to go for many auditions. That's what was said in the magazine. Right, I will go big just so you can see these, and then I'll obviously ask for your opinion. She said as part of this kind of, oh God, I'm not a Whovian, she said. I remember when she was working with David on Broadchurch, we were filming somewhere and he smiled at some people. To me, they were just some randoms watching. And I was like, why are you smiling at them? They might not even know who you are, babe. And he was like, no, that person's got a TARDIS on their T-shirt. And I was, have they? It wasn't overt. It was something with Gallifreyan on it. Now I'd spot that. But in 2017, if someone had a Gallifreyan tattoo, I'd be like, oh, I love your swizzles. Fair enough. But Ryan, is this warming you to Jodie? But her honesty?
I think it's more down to the fact as well. Okay, she doesn't need to be a Whovian to play the role, because as somebody Zach very kindly pointed out, Matt Smith wasn't a Whovian. He came in and done a very good job. I think what the problem is, she came into it and didn't do her own thing with it, and she basically just done a overexcited child David Tennant impression.
After Capaldi, who in many's opinion was brilliant. He was a tough act to follow, I think, for a lot of people. Certainly myself.
Well, the problem
I really enjoyed Capaldi.
Brendan knows my feelings about Capaldi. Like, in my opinion, like, I don't think there's actually been a better actor to play the Doctor than Capaldi, possibly. But unfortunately, the show was already on its knees at that point. The stories had sort of gone to hell. He was only keeping it together just down to pure acting ability, and I love watching them. Season 10 was an improvement, but as far as I've said it many times, by that point, the general public didn't care. At that point, the general public didn't care about Doctor Who. Then they really run it into the ground then with the Jodie Whittaker era. And then they buried it, dug it back up again, crucified it, and chopped its testicles off with the Gatwa era. So,
Yep.
Is that your way of saying it? That it's better than the Gatwa era, Ryan?
Don, right, and I've said this before, as much as I dislike the Whittaker era, I can still watch an episode and go, I can still recognise this as Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's unrecognisable. In Gatwa's era, I was like, is this even the same show?
What is
It doesn't
this?
feel like it.
Now, you've seen fiddling around. Jamie's moved in with a laptop, and so I can see the thread, everybody. So bear with me. If I'm looking over there, sorry, panel, I'll be trying to check on the thread at the same time. But anyway, so these are just the warm-up gambits of what Jodie Whittaker was saying. And just to... Everybody who was watching me yesterday, I did promise I would watch another Jodie, and me and Jamie watched the Ghost Monument last night. That was an eco-tourist hotel that they were building in South Africa. Obviously, it tanked and didn't work, and so it was able to be filmed as a ruin. And of course, that's the one with the strange paper things like snakes. And when she finally got her TARDIS back. And that was what we had. We had a few droids, not much action. It was a bit like those great panel shows now where basically they travel the world, and the two characters in it were trying to travel the universe to win the prize from Art Malik. That was it. That was it in essence. So basically, I now feel fully charged up to talk about Jodie Whittaker's era because I've seen one episode. No, that's top me up. So, and just so everybody in the thread does know, I am aware that some of you are prone to be a little bit antagonistic about what she was like, because before she took the role, she talks about the white male gaze.
Oh,
I know.
geez.
She said she wasn't a fan. She said she wasn't into Doctor Who, and yet she was very clear that it was seen through a white male gaze, and that's what Doctor Who always celebrated. So, although she didn't know Doctor Who, she seemed to know Doctor Who. Of course, Joe, that was suicide at the time to say that, wasn't it?
But you know what? When Tennant came on the scene, I was delighted because I had a massive crush on him. So not only, I was a big Doctor Who freak, and then I had this, all of a sudden I fancied the Doctor. And I think a lot of women might agree with me on that it brought a lot of young females, and it arguably so did Matt Smith, and so did... oh my God, why's my brain went completely dead? I'm so sorry. Eccleston.
No. Oh, no, Joe.
The Doctor sexified and brought a lot of women in, and I think a lot of women would agree with that. So the white male gaze, there was plenty of female gaze.
Rachel will disagree. She'll always say, "Aye, Colin Baker."
Yeah, Colin, all the way.
Golden haired Adonis.
No, but what you're saying, Joe, is right. The sex appeal of the first three Doctors that helped bring the series back, it was appealing for a lot of women, and they did see an increase, especially the soap elements, which I don't particularly like, but that added a lot to it as well. And it dropped off the cliff when they sort of reversed it, went back to sort of no touchy-feely Doctor with Capaldi, who I think is a fantastic Doctor. But
So Ryan, come on then. I suppose you've got something to say about this, the white male gaze. I mean, how else could we watch Doctor Who?
Well, that's the thing. They'll just slag off the the main demographic. Why don't you? But you know what? And I know I'm probably going to get shit for this. I always thought that was I completely and utterly agree that especially Tennant and Matt Smith did bring a wider female audience to the show because of the sexy peels, But that's I think any sort of older Doctor Who fan would look at that and go, "No, you can't be sexifying Doctor Who," which unfortunately has just been a running theme of all of New Who. Jodie Whittaker's Doctor is a lesbian. David Tennant can't keep his lips off anybody. I just want to see a darker sci-fi show again. I don't, and maybe that's too much to ask, but I do think maybe now, as audiences, I think we have maybe moved on away from the soap elements and things like that. Like back in 2006, soaps were at the height of their power. Soaps nowadays are struggling quite a bit. I think we need, and obviously Russell T Davis thought, oh yeah, I'll just come back and do the same thing I done in 2005, only dial it up to 11. Didn't work. We need something new. We need something different.
Well, Anthony Parkinson says, Brendan, watching one Jodie episode is more research than Jodie did, so well done. So thank you for that. David, I don't need someone to have been a fan of Doctor Who to play the Doctor. Well, I agree with that. I always would argue merit every time should trump it. But once you've got the job, you do need to do some research, I would argue, especially something as big as this. So let's take another look at what she's been saying. And this one was about representation and the baggage to do with that. If I'm not to everyone's taste, well, I wasn't to everyone's taste. That's fine. I can cope with being badly reviewed. It's happened loads of times. I can cope with critique. What I can't cope with is being the reason somebody else doesn't get an opportunity, because that's unfair. And it is gender specific. You become the conversation about who you're representing in a bigger sense, not as an individual. And really, that's true for anyone outside of being a white guy. She does mention Matt Smith, Capaldi and all them later.
Oh, come on. Look, he was a white guy for how long? That's who he was written. That's how we saw him. Nobody was being intentionally racist. Nobody was being intentionally sexist, writing him that way. So when all this come out, it really pees me off. Sorry.
The thing is, Joe, they play on it in interviews. I've just shown the white male gaze. And then when they say, I don't want to spoil it for somebody in the future, you think, I know, but you've just made the stakes go higher.
What was wrong with him being a white guy? What, really? I mean, I'm sick of the demonization of... I'm the mother of a young white man who is constantly being demonized. I think we had great diversity going on in Doctor Who in the past anyway. I don't think it had a diversity problem. We can argue till the
nobody
cows
was
come
up in
home.
arms. Like, nobody was up in arms going, oh my God, the Doctor has to be black or, Chinese or what. Nobody was up in arms about that.
They bang on about this representation that apparently doesn't exist in the show, but you go back as early as Patrick Troughton, maybe earlier, and it's there.
Yeah.
They just pretend that it wasn't for some reason.
I did, when I texted this to you a bit earlier, Rachel, obviously as an actress, and I suppose a fair reasoned person, yeah, you don't want to let down the future. So I get Jodie saying, if I'm the first female Doctor, I don't want to let down anybody potentially in the future by doing it so badly. I get that.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, I get that too. Yeah, you want to go in, you want to be able to do a good job and be good at your job. And you don't want to make it impossible for some other person, another female who comes in the future to play the Doctor, even though that shouldn't happen. But you just don't want to do that, and you'd feel bad if you did that.
Mind you,
I would say Jo Martin was better though.
Yeah, I agree. I think she's much better.
She does mention Jo Martin, I must admit, in this. But Ryan, the other thing is, when they do this game, I keep thinking, look, Colin Baker was a white male, and he will have felt as responsible as any other actor if the show tanks when he's doing it. Same with Sylvester McCoy. Same with Peter Davison. It has nothing to do with gender. If I got the Doctor Who job now as a white male and it tanked when I was the Doctor, I would feel really bad.
Yeah. No, totally.
It's the Jodie thing. We like Look, no one's disputing Jodie isn't a nice woman. I think she's lovely. I think she's a great ambassador for kids. I would happily hand my kid over for photographs with her. I've got a lot of time for her as a human being and a person. Just for a lot of us, she didn't work out in that role, So it's hard to sort of, I feel very ambivalent towards her as the Doctor, but as a person, I like her very much, and I'm sure a lot of people, agree with that.
Well, as a person, I don't think there's anything wrong, but as I've said many times on this show before, if you were sitting there in 2017 and go, you know what, if you're Chris Chibnall and you're like, I am hell bent. I want the Doctor to be a woman. Okay, if you're going to do it, get the best. Get the best possible person for the job. Maybe somebody a little bit more. If you're going to go with a woman, I always thought, you know what, somebody a bit older, more experienced. Jodie was just not the right person for that role.
What
Not
about this?
after the holiday.
What about this person as? I mean, this is Garbage's possibility as a woman doctor.
Leave the girl. It's the man I want.
Oh, for fuck's
Sorry about that, folks. Sorry. Triggering.
What was it? Tilda Swinton, wasn't it? Tilda Swinton.
Yeah.
Even Suran Jones, who played the TARDIS, I thought were too strong. I'd love to see Tilda give it a shot, actually.
Yeah,
But,
she was mentioned a lot, wasn't she? Now, this
Yeah,
is obviously the Doctor Who interview, Benjamin Cook. Now, I sometimes show you his question or statement so you can see how sometimes she's not saying much, he feeds it. Moments like that, he said, especially from young fans, must put any backlash from the nobody wants a TARDIS full of bras brigade into perspective. No bras in the TARDIS, says Jodie. I really love that comment. It's one of my favourites to quote, actually, or Lady Doctor. I'm guessing, says Benjamin Cook, TARDIS full of bras, man, wasn't your target audience. You were making Doctor Who for the Anastasias. Yeah, but also for the 55-year-old guy rocking my costume who comes up asking for a birthday video or a signature. I'm like, yeah, mate, see, your noisy few in your little bedrooms writing your angry tweets. But I have to say, those comments, most of them made me laugh. And just before you're going, what the hell's this about no bras in the TARDIS? I'd never heard this before. Apparently it's from the Daily Mail at the time, if I show it bigger. And this is what Benjamin Cook was quoting when among the loudest voices were commentators on Mail Online. Mail Online, it's not even the Daily Mail. Nobody wants a TARDIS full of bras, said Brian from London. Time travel is for men and men only, blah, blah, blah. So that's what he was referring to. And of course, so he's fed this to Jodie. And of course, I hate this. It's a bit like what's going on in politics at the moment. If you speak up, you're put into a label that's unfair. and here you've got, if I say I don't like the Jodie Doctor, I'm in the no bras in the TARDIS brigade.
yeah,
No.
it's nonsense.
That don't make no sense. Why?
And that's why so many walked away. It's just utter nonsense.
You want bras in the TARDIS, Ryan?
No comment. No, because if I'm going to make a comment, it's going to be something really inappropriate. So move on.
Move on. We'll keep moving. Right. Okay, then. So there you go. You can see Benjamin Cook is leading some of this, but there you go. So of course on this bit here, she goes about the casting, and of course my casting. No one comments on the fact that I'm not a Whovian. Everyone comments on the fact that I'm a different gender to the other Doctors. The terrifying part for me was, I hope I play this role right. I'll let down however many other actresses if I don't. When Peter, Matt, David and Chris were announced, the comments were singularly about them as actors. Is he right for the role? I'm excited for him because blah, blah, blah. But because of me, it was because I was a woman. And so she plays into it. Benjamin Cook actually said in the Doctor Who magazine interview, he wasn't going to mention her being a female doctor unless she mentions it. She mentioned it. Rachel?
Sorry. Of course, that's how the fans are going to react, because we've had this show for however many plus years, 50 plus years at that point, 60? Is it 60? I don't know. I can't remember. And it's always been played by a man. So you're taking something that has got a solid foundation as being a male role, and you are changing it, and you're telling them, tough, you got to put up with it. So that's why people kept commenting. It probably wasn't any snub at her. It was probably just because the change was so drastic after all that time, you know?
Yeah. So, that's where we went with that one. And so I'll keep us moving. Right, okay. I was most scared about Doctor Who was I don't want to be the person holding back future casting, because it's as if I was the tester. If I worked, therefore women were qualified. I didn't create that narrative. Chibs didn't. But that's what the pressure felt like. I mean, if you're the first anything, there will be that pressure. I get that. But I didn't feel as though I was feeding any fire or crusade. They chose a woman doctor. It wasn't my choice. I hoped they knew what they were doing. It looked as though the stories didn't help back it up, and maybe the casting wasn't brilliant. I like her in lots of things. She does refer to this in a few minutes, and I'll show you. She's very honest and self-critical. She does say stuff about her acting and whether she thought she was right for Doctor Who. But you know, it's fascinating this, because this has been a hell of a deep dive she's gone
But
into here.
society at that time was putting a lot of things down our throats that we didn't want. It wasn't just Doctor Who, it was in Marvel, it was in Star Wars, Star Trek, it was all these things in society were starting to really be forced on us. Nobody asked for it. Perhaps if the Doctor had naturally, without all this cultural stuff going on, evolved into a woman, it would have been easier to swallow. But every time you looked at any media at one point, everything was being turned on its head, up is down, inverted sexually, and women were being turned into male characters, and none of us liked it. That's why it all failed. So it wasn't even just like you couldn't get away from it. You couldn't get away, like, you know, like I said, Star Wars, they were turning Luke into a, oh my God, I don't even want to talk about it, what they did to Luke. Indiana Jones got turned into an idiot. Now the Doctor was sort of having his turn. So, like, she, you know, I mean, it might have worked in different circumstances, but for me, it was all too much. Everywhere I turned, all the IPs that I loved and grew up with and was a fan of were being absolutely hammered by an ideology I don't have any time for. So, yeah.
Well, just to prove I can see the thread, I've got Mark Postgate. Just a reminder, the Daily Mail and the Metro are both published by the same company, Brendan. The obnoxiousness of one gives the other one something to report. Dalek Lives Matters wants me to give a trigger warning if I'm going to show Chibnall's face. He is coming up. Robert Payne, annoyingly, she could have acted as a totally different character and done it well, yet she chose to act and be directed to have a kooky character. We'll have some comments on that very, very soon. Now, you can see the headlines that are coming, or the big tasty ones. These are just the opening gambits. So basically, she was asked about woke Doctor Who. These days, it feels like anything hopeful or forward thinking, says Benjamin Cook, gets branded as woke. What's your perspective, Jodie, please? And she says, so much TV that imagines society the way we wish it could be, or tries to show what we should steer away from, gets, for some reason, strange criticism. For me, being part of storylines, especially with Mandip, but not only with her, that opened my eyes to important issues, felt like a real privilege. You know, like police people not doing much work because she sits in a panda car saying, I think I fancy the Doctor. It's fascinating that striving so to be a better contributor to society is now suddenly seen as negative, or that showing moments we should learn from is somehow controversial. And she finishes just before you all get to, the Doctor can travel through time and space. Why wouldn't you use that to learn lessons? Chris and Russell's writing particularly draws heavily on what's happening in the world to tell stories. I find that exciting. It's not something to be angry about. So Jo, don't be angry about it.
It was too much. It was too much. We get a female Doctor. That's a lot to get her head round. She's acting like a bit of an, I don't know, an ADD. We don't know who this creature is, on top of the fact it's a woman, and she's a lesbian. And like, where's the Doctor gone? What is going on? Hello, somebody help me. So Jodie, I think we had far too much rammed down, far too much of a change. And although I know Chibnall, I don't know what Chibnall was on, and it's all heralded. And you remember in Star Wars, it was like, oh, the past must die. Well, you know, the past got us here. We could have built in it. We could have had awesome content. We could have built upon what we had instead of deconstructing it all. And so I mean, as you know, I'm completely against everything she says here. Is nonsense to me. Sorry.
I can see you smiling away there, Ryan.
Oh no, I think I've actually finally met my match. No, I'm still thinking about Billie Piper taking her bra off in the TARDIS. Sorry. And all this talk about flipping, shoving things down people's throats and swallowing it. I'm just my head's gone. Sorry.
And Rachel's looking like the calm queen of the walk. This is your topic, Rachel. This is your topic.
It is my topic. More to say with the woke storylines. Well, you know I'm anti-woke, right? Okay, it's how you do it, and a lot of what she's talking about stems from the writing, really here, and it just wasn't done well. You got to integrate it naturally to make it look like it's not a message, but there is a message there. And if you don't get it, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Move on. But yeah, no.
Well, Farsight, it
Oh,
was
these
woke.
wokies.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Farsight says it was woke. That was all it was about. No adventure, no excitement, just dull
Yep.
lecturing dross.
Completely right.
Here?
Farsight.
The thing is, though, as well, like, can someone please explain to me, because it seems to mean something very different now compared to what it did back in 2017. What is woke now?
Oh,
I
yeah.
knew what woke was back in 2017. What is woke now? Let's get political, baby.
Let's get political.
I mean,
it used to be recognizing social injustices amongst race, but it's branched out since then. That was the old definition.
Yes, it's now saying DEI, it's now saying
Yeah.
inclusivity, it's now saying,
Yeah.
it's basically saying we've sniffed out, we can see that we're cynical now, we are now savvy, we're sussing out what you're all up to. Say, for example, you know, I have my lovely media source. He was telling me he has insiders in Coronation Street. And the actors were telling him that the producer of Coronation Street is trying to slowly get rid of the northern accent in
What?
Coronation Street.
But that's Coronation Street. Why would you do that?
This is the point. And so I think that's a woke issue, because basically it's trying to eliminate regional differences, any differences, and yet lauding other differences for represent. You know,
I will say about that is so when I was doing my training, reason why I don't talk like I'm from Devon is because it was pretty much hammed out of me. And I've also been like other places in the world and things like that. So I don't really sound Devonian anymore. Nowadays, or at least that's what it was, they like you to use your native accent wherever and whenever you can. And when they're doing casting, they try and cast from that specific area. So that's bad.
It worried me, and I will do a news fight later on with the quotes, the specific quotes from the source, because he said he'd been told that it's slowly the eradication of the northern identity just to make it another soap. I suppose when I've seen clips of Emmerdale, it's not Yorkshire anymore. I mean, my God, it looks like some sort of cosmopolitan blooming, you know, I don't know.
Milf City. What?
Yeah, it does. It does not look like the North Yorkshire Dales, I tell you. Stephen Braddock, she was the worst doctor ever until Shooty came along. Basically, Rachel was hinting at that really earlier. Woke now is about seeing fascists around every corner or labeling people now. We seem to be trying to fight labels, and then we're making other labels to make the argument. It's become an absolute mess. And I really didn't. And people have said they've given up on the Doctor Who magazine. I have stopped my subscription, but I got this one almost from the airport when I got back, because I knew this was a big one. And it is a big one, but by God, and it covers so much. Anyway, let's get on to what she said about the role being challenging, because she is self-critical here, and maybe we might give her a little bit of fairness. Thread, I will come up to you, Thread. Michael Nemo, I can see your shonky chat. I'll talk to you in a minute, but I'll just put this first one up. Right, here we go. Right. Benjamin Cook noticed that Jodie had a crisis of confidence. She mentioned that when she'd finished filming, that was her problem. She doesn't like talking about the series then, because she was actually slagging herself off. So she said, I think from not understanding a reference or something, it was such a casual thing. We were doing a press day and someone said, oh, I really loved it when Matt Smith used to do such and such. And I thought, oh my God, I haven't been doing anything like that. I can't remember what it was, but it was a reference to a previous doctor, I think Matt, and I panicked. I've not done the thing. I should have had a thing. I had an absolute meltdown. And then I had to go to press. Part of me wanted to do the press going, I'm really sorry if I've let everybody down. That's honest. I have to say, Rachel, that is honesty.
Yeah. And actors are quite often their own worst critique. And they beat themselves up over things like, I mean, she panicked. yeah, I probably would have got like that if I didn't know what it was.
And
I
is it
understand that completely.
It is a funny role, isn't it? That if she heard somebody saying, "Oh, I love the way Matt Smith always did something with his dicky bow,"
But
or
yeah,
Peter Davison always did something with his glasses, something like that, and you're going, "I've just done a whole series and I haven't done
yeah,
anything
yeah.
special."
But
Can you
also,
imagine the panic?
like that's not a bad thing that she didn't do what Matt Smith did.
Yeah,
So you know, she must have had to have told herself that eventually, because you know, I mean, we're our own worst critiques, really. We're terrible. I can't watch myself. I hate it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I understand it. Now, before I
yeah.
lose Michael Nemo, since I have got the thread here, and before I lose it, let's have a look. He said, Michael Nemo, thank you very much. It seems like one of the markers for subpar writing today is a lack of subtext. Classic Who seems full of it. New Who is simplistic. Do you know what? When we watched The Ghost Monument yesterday, Michael and panel, I did say this to Jamie. We both agreed. I said, this is the point. This is the problem with New Who. There's no jeopardy. They have to keep just getting. I mean, it's just. You could see potential in The Ghost Monument as a story, but
Yes.
because it was done in 45 minutes, it's all kind of froth, and you can see the great South African setting. You can see some great photography, but it had to get finished. Rubbish.
Oh, one of the things that I said, because I watched The Ghost Monument a little while ago for the second time, is they actually had a really good idea there. I know it's something that they did with the Paul McGann Doctor. She loses the TARDIS,
Yeah.
right? They could have kept that going as the overarching story plot for the entire series. That would have been great. How is she going to get it back?
Or, as Michael Nemo's given us a lovely, generous, shonky chat, you could have done something like this with Doctor Who. Basically, taking Doctor Who seriously. There you go. That was my selling of that one. So thank you, Michael Nemo. So basically, Ryan, are you buying this crisis of confidence that, you know, she was worried sick?
Well, I do love the fact that she says, "Oh, I wasn't doing that thing that Matt Smith was doing. Now I'm all worried," but she decided to copy David Tennant. Okay, and I've said this to you before. The problem I found, like, I remember watching it at the time, and I got to the end of her first series, and I was very much on. I was like I always like to think at the end of each Doctor's series, you very much know what their version of the Doctor is going to be about. And I just didn't get that with her at all. I was like, you know what? We're how many episodes in, and I still don't get what you're trying to do with the role. You're just basically doing a very bad Tennant impression and done about like a kid. I just didn't grasp what she was, whatever she was trying to do. I didn't get it.
Interesting, isn't it, Joe? What was your take on Jodie? What she's saying?
I was just picking up on. I think the main thing she missed out on, which Joe Martin absolutely nailed, was when the Doctor is angry or the Doctor is serious, you're in fucking trouble, yeah? The whole place is in trouble when the Doctor's angry. Capaldi was beautiful when he was angry. I loved the moments when he got pissed off. Jodie's Doctor didn't have the gravitas and the command that the Doctor should have. None of it. She had not a tiny fraction of it. And she should have worked in it, because Joe Martin did actually have that. Like, if Joe Martin said, "Why?" then I would have listened. You know what I mean? Like, "Oh, sorry." You know, you get that "oh, sorry" moment. I just never feel "oh, sorry" with Jodie. And that's quite an important aspect of the Doctor.
I agree, because he is quite an authoritarian figure, and he very much, like I've always said it to Brendan, he very much is that character. He can walk into any room and he is in charge of that room. We didn't get that with Jodie, and we didn't get it with Shooty Gawa either.
Nope, not
Well-
at all. Not even close.
Well, here's where she is being very honest. And I think this is when you have to start talking about the people who chose her, etc. And she said, I was panicked about, like, what if I can't do it? A lot of the Doctor isn't bursting into tears or being immersed in some trauma. And that's what I know. That's where I'm the most comfortable, weirdly, at work. I thought, what if I'm not very good at lightness? There's darkness within Doctor Who, but a lot more lightness, a lot more playfulness, adventure and comedy in it that I was used to. It's heightened. It isn't naturalistic. What if I can't do the bits that don't require the trauma? Now, Rachel, I feel for her in a way, which is the Broadchurch. She can do drama,
Of course, yeah.
but she put herself into this situation.
She
didn't
did put herself into this situation. She's gone into a masculine role that's written for a man. It's not going to be bursting into tears, as she said. It's not going to be traumatic or feminine in any way whatsoever. The writing style for it didn't really change at all. I know the writing wasn't great, but it didn't change in many respects. So, yeah, it was going to be something that she, as a woman, was not used to doing. So, you put yourself into that. So that's a big thing to take on. How to make yourself more masculine as a woman.
Mind you, I find it ironic, Joe.
That's really weird.
Shooty liked the crying.
Yeah, he liked the good old cry, didn't he?
Oh, that's what they went for. A wee
Yeah.
cry.
A
I
wee
love
whinge.
it.
When you
I
get
love the
cry.
good whinge.
when you get stuck into this representation debate that all the actors love to do, it's fascinating, isn't it? The first female Doctor says, I didn't want to be doing that because I could see the Doctor doesn't do that sort of thing. Then Shooty comes along as the first black gay Doctor and goes, I'm going to cry all the time, baby.
I tell you, if I was a gay man, I'd have been really bloody peeved at Nick Shooty.
I was.
I can't talk about that. I would not like to be represented like that, man. No way.
I'm going to speak on behalf of all the LGBTQ
Please.
community who know me and hate me. No, I thought it was an insult.
I do think it is. I really do. The gay men I know that's not what No, sorry, Shooty.
So
I know quite a few gay men, and even they don't all their own.
No, that's not how you do it. So here we go. Of course, there's also the excitement of doing other work, but she said you never got bored of playing the Doctor, but over 3 seasons you play a lot of versions of the character, and actually there is a part of you as an actor that goes, right, I'm ready for the next challenge, the next character, the next world. I do a lot of grounded social dramas, very intense, and there's something about going back to that kind of storytelling based really fundamentally in realism that I continually crave. It sounds as though she was saying she was duck out of the water. I mean, and therefore I partly blame her and her agent, but of course, Chris Chibnall, come and explain yourself, please.
Yeah.
Rachel, if you had been the Doctor, right?
Mm.
I bet you any money you would be coming up with ideas left, right, and centre. And this is Doctor Who. He's got time, space at fingertips, endless monsters. How are you ever going to run out of? Sure, I don't know. What I bet you wouldn't have had that attitude.
No. You'd run out of steam, maybe that energy, maybe, yeah. That I would understand. That I think that comes to all the actors playing the Doctor at some point. But like different versions of it, you can find different ways. You can be very creative. I mean, like, a good example. Matt Smith is a good example of that.
Yeah.
I think actually,
Yeah.
like he really suited that role. Like he could be like zany, crazy, but then really dark and horrible the next minute.
Even the old Doctor. Remember when he got really old as well?
Yeah.
I mean, he was great.
Yeah, that was a good story, that one. And then you go back to the early Doctors and you just see, you've got Patrick Troughton, who really was quite a buffoonery type of Doctor in many respects, but he could snap at any point, turn it around, and he'd come up with all these different concepts and ideas. And I think I just did the moon base, and someone in my comment section said that that was sort of what solidified him as the Doctor, and I tend to agree with that. Yeah.
Pertwee kicking ass. Pertwee literally kicked people's asses. I bloody loved it when Pertwee went on a bender like that.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I would say that's not my favorite aspect of the Doctor, but it's creative though. You know,
Yeah.
it's something that's a little bit different, and he remained consistent with it, and he loved doing his own stunts as well, didn't he?
And I'm going to be fair to Jodie. Look what she says down here. She says, I don't know how to play the Doctor because I'm not familiar with every single dangled carrot or spoiler. This is kind of, that David Tennant knew the Gallifreyan logo. But she said, but Chris Chibnall wanted me to embrace that, to come in fresh. And that was so exciting. Somebody telling me not to do my homework. So this is on the showrunner. And you know what? Me and Rachel were doing streams last year about the interviews coming from Bad Wolf and Shooty and RTD. Remember, Rachel, last year that there were loads of interviews where basically, in essence, RTD was saying he didn't want Shooty to look at old Doctor Who. Remember?
Yeah. Big mistake. Even if you go into the audition with not much knowledge of Doctor Who or any of that, once you've got the job, you need to look at it. He watched what the 2 Rani stories and maybe Pyramids of Mars, and that would have been it.
Really?
Yeah. He wasn't allowed to do anything else, and he wasn't allowed to talk about the Doctors on set.
And he mentioned, and in the interview I talked about yesterday, when he said he had to wrestle himself about leaving the role, he said he started to love the role. He had said to us last year and the year before that he actually was a Doctor Who fan. And now he says he's fallen in love with the show. Something tells me somewhere we've had a lie.
No, he showed so little of it. You cannot display so little Doctor and be a fan of the show. I'm sorry. There's no way. There's no way.
It's a big mistake telling them not to go and watch some of the stories, or at least do your research on the Doctor. I know Matt Smith did, and he had Wendy Padbury as his agent, so he could always ask her as well, and I'm sure she told him too.
Do you remember that scene, Rachel, when he's playing chess with the cyber master, and we're playing chess?
Nightmare in Silver.
He paneled like 5 Doctors in that one scene. If you watch it,
fabulous.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
It's so good.
Now I've got my thread is still kind of available. I can see it. Super John, Chris is to blame for the downfall of the Doctor. Dalek Lives Matters. I may be anti-agenda or race change of the Doctor, but and I'd be the biggest hypocrite here because you mentioned Sydney Sweeney and all the rest that's going on. Ash Lamont, who was mentioned earlier in the thread about autism. I think once he cast Jodie Whittaker, he had no interest in her. He was more interested in the story, standing Graham kind of feel for her, really. And just to remind you, Ash Lamont and others, that we are just about to come up to the neurodivergent discussion any moment now. So don't worry about that. I've not kind of baited you without a delivery. Sorry. I did say I was gonna. If I show you Chris Chibnall, alert, Dalek Lives Matters. Sorry, alert. I apologise. I'll do something emergency. I'll press a button. There you go. I feel better now. And he's off. He's off. Right. Okay. So here we go. A little bit more about what she was saying about playing the role. She said, I literally put my costume on and I went, oh God, here I am. And it still fit, which I was delighted about. And I'm so happy in my costume. There's something about it that instantly makes me. Now, I heard what you were saying, Ryan, and I heard what you were saying, Rachel, about the, being like the Peter Davison. No, sorry, not Peter Davison, the David Tennant one. And instantly she said, makes me fidgety. There are a lot of Doctor traits and quirks that I don't have in real life, such as walking into rooms like this, looking manic. I don't generally do that. I don't put on space goggles every 2 seconds either, but I did feel very at home. Do you know what? I'd have loved Jodie to have walked in the room just as a normal human being. I know she's an alien, but I didn't want the space goggles. I didn't want that. I don't like
Yeah.
that. I can't stand that. Somebody should have just said, tone it down, love.
She was always
Maybe-
better when she pulled it back.
Yeah.
I keep showing you these Daleks, Ryan, because I know you'll enjoy seeing these Daleks. I mean,
That's
I
quite
did.
cool, actually.
Well, maybe not those ones, but you know, you're trying.
I'm trying. I'm very trying. I people agree with that one. What about this one? She was asked when she really felt like the Doctor, and she said, "My real bedding in came towards the end of my first episode. It was written really well because I was finding my feet, finding myself, and so was the Doctor. As the Doctor, I got to build my own Sonic and charity shop my costume, and Jamie Charles, the director, was absolutely incredible. There were all these little quirks he wanted. I'd referenced Doc Brown from the Back to the Future films as a real kind of energy inspiration, that mad scientist feel. Then I got to set, and then I even got the goggles." And then she just finishes off with this statement. If I just go, "Then came the charity shop scene. As gestures go, I am someone who walks into a room and goes, ta-da!" So stepping out of the changing room like that in my costume was brilliant. And that's when she felt she was the Doctor. Joe, was that a happy moment for you?
I saw the element of Peter Davidson was my Doctor. So I'm a bit fond of the Davidson sort of jacket and things. But no, I'm going to be quite honest with you. I was not at all happy about a female Doctor. I just didn't want her, so I didn't give her flying monkeys. Sorry, that's the truth.
I mean, when I used to talk to Rachel about the Shooty era, and for a while, Rachel, you kept saying, "I'll wait, and I need to give him enough performances before I judge him." When you think of the Jodie era, she's saying she felt comfortable once she'd done that first episode and that scene. But as an actress watching her, when were you ever a little bit more comfortable with what she was doing?
Never. I don't know.
Loaded question by Brendan there. Whoa.
Very loaded. Yeah, you see with Jodie, I was, I don't know. I gave her lots of chances, you know, but that's a really difficult question.
I mean, the costume
Okay,
is
yeah.
important. The Doctor's outfit is really important, you know, because and again, Shooty totally cocked that. Oh, maybe that's not the right word. Not the right word either. Messed up the whole wardrobe thing, because we need, you know, at least Jodie got a wardrobe.
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
or not, at least she had the identifiable Doctor outfit. So I can see that she's like, "Oh, I'm in my outfit now. Now I feel like the Doctor." I mean, good for her, but I still just didn't see. I saw a bit of Davidson. That was it.
And she did pick that costume. She got a chance to pick it. Shooty didn't,
that's
did he?
good.
Shooty
No,
did
he
not get a
didn't.
chance.
He had an idea, but never got the chance to. I'd
That's
like
a
to have
shame.
seen what he would.
Yeah,
It
that
is.
is a shame. You
Yeah,
should have
they
got a
should've-
totally identifiable.
Matthew
silhouette.
Burrows.
100%.
Matthew Burrows here. It was the costume was the worst since Collins. Oh God, we've mentioned that under Rachel.
Mental.
Oh, starting a fight here. No, I agree. Colin's coat is colourful.
Raymond Williams, her first story was her best, but she never developed from then on. She was the nursery school teacher doctor. Now,
I quite. I know you find Rosa a bit of a problem, but I did quite like her in Rosa. I will admit. Like I gave her lots of chances, but I think by the time we got to that Spyfall, I was done. I was just watching, then just for the sake of saying I watched it.
right. Well, this is the section that I was advertising to people. You know, I had this about the doctor is neurodiverse, said Jodie Whittaker. Now, this is the moment, and you can see Joe, for example, was saying she wants to know what was said here specifically. I know Ash Lamont, Farsight, Nigel Walker, loads of people in the thread are really wanting to see what's said here, because either they've got skin in the game or they just want to know. So here we go. Let's go for it. So, first of all, this is Benjamin Cook. In universe, maybe autistic isn't even a word Time Lords would use. But did you and Chris discuss her neurodivergent or autistic coded traits? And she said, I don't think it was a discussion, but it was absolutely there. The Doctor's response in certain situations felt to me so authentically her that it celebrated a neurodiverse character without slapping on a label. It was just the Doctor. Joe, I'm going to have to let you have a chance of speaking first on this one.
Oh. Right. Before they went in and effed it all up, Doctor Who is a Gallifreyan alien, yeah? Who's been around for a long time. That's why he behaves the way he behaves. Not because he's got a neuro issue or whatever people want to call it. I wasn't diagnosed till I was 37. But I never, okay, I saw elements of the Doctor, awkwardness and awkwardness with humans and things that, yeah, sure, they're autistic traits. But I always just read the Doctor as an alien with different experiences. He's been alive so much longer than us that, of course, he's going to behave differently. They're going to be over things that we're not over. They're just all around going to be different. So they may have traits that some higher function and neurodivergent people might identify with, but I don't really see the Doctor like that. I think by them trying to create an alien character, they're calling it neurodiverse, and I think we can do better than that.
Now, as I bring Ryan in, and there's other quotes, by the way, so there's other pages, don't worry, but just before I bring Ryan in, obviously I can see people waiting for this area. So Ash Lamont, autism isn't a label, it's literally who we are, not a fashionable accessory. Matthew Burrows, well, I always suspected Chibs was on the spectrum. Stephen Braddock's talking about the cancer scene. If you all wait, she references that cancer scene that we've all mentioned. So she mentions it too. So if you hold your horses on that one, that is going to come up. And so Robert Payne says, so being an individual is neurodiverse now, is it? And Peter Venkman, the Doctor's just eccentric. Why are we mixing eccentric with neurodiverse? Ryan, what's your opinion on what's been said here?
Well, I am very obviously on the spectrum quite a bit. And I'll be honest, I would say there's quite a lot of Doctor Who that I can see certain traits that I would have. I can definitely see in certain character aspects of the Doctor. That's probably part of why I was attracted to the show in the first place. But I would say, though, as you said, like, as Joe was saying, the Doctor's been around for an awfully long time. And I think it's just the fact that the Doctor's always just been very eccentric. And he's an alien. You know what I mean? Like, he is not going to be like us. He is going to be a bit... I wish, to be honest, I wish we played back more into that again, that the Doctor is more alien. Like, I think in recent years, we've actually just made him far too human. Like, you know, and we just need to get back to that again where, this is this weird guy in a police box, comes out of nowhere. Okay, so this guy's a bit eccentric, a bit weird. Oh, he's an alien. Oh, okay. You know, we've made him far too human. I say him, her, him, whatever. Like, and to be honest, that's been a problem we've had for years, so long before. I like to think that Capaldi and Smith brought back a little bit of that alienness. But I do think the more human traits, that really started with, really badly with Tennant. But that's just sort of my opinion.
This domestication of the Doctor. If the Doctor played alien, so we all have that famous scene in Pyramids of Mars where, Sarah Jane has to apologise for him almost for being so cold. The point is, because he's then aloof, he can judge humanity in a different way, and it's a safe position to be in. Whereas once you make him very human, he's bogged down in it. It's like an albatross around him. I think that's been the killer. You need him to be aloof.
Well, the thing is as well, even, it was even written in one of Eccleston's episodes, don't you dare make this place domestic. So they maybe should have listened to their own writing for fuck's sake. Anyways.
Well, he's a bit more, because obviously it's charging us up, but she said more. So me, I was aware. It's playing it without the label in a way. Just the Doctor responds like this. That's what I loved about it, and that's why the Doctor is such a brilliant part to play. Sometimes we explain certain traits by saying This person is
No.
neurodiverse or is ADHD or is autistic, and that can be a positive thing, explaining it's not negative. But with a doctor, it wasn't about explaining. She has characteristics that potentially in a human form will be associated with autism. But the joy is, as you said, it's not in any way negative, in any way something to be fixed. It's something to be celebrated. The doctor is the doctor. What is so beautiful about playing the doctor is that it's non-conforming.
You know
Can
what,
I
Brendan?
jump
It's
in?
just jargon speak. It's woke jargon speak. Let's not be racist. Let's be all inclusive. Let's be they just cramming every single thing in. I'm surprised she never gave us a lecture on legless people, how she would have liked to have had a shot in a wheelchair, but she couldn't. I don't know. Sorry, I'm just a bit triggered by all this. It's like they have to get every, dare I say, leftist action point in, and it's not the real world, and it's not. I'm autistic. I've had to live with the damn thing, and I don't know. It's just like I feel like I'm a talking point, and I've got to write. Sorry, I'm a bit annoyed. Here.
Well, I'm going to jump in to say now, and I've noticed a couple of people where I mentioned it in the chat as well, and we've talked about this a million times before, the dreaded cancer scene in Whittaker's era.
Yeah.
Now, even thinking about that scene, it just makes me disgusted because I lost my dad to cancer, and even thinking about that, I'm sort of like, oh, like especially if she says, "Oh, that's just what the doctor would do." That is the most un-doctor thing. Like the doctor would pull you aside, say something hopeful, about because he is this old wise person. Like he just wouldn't stand there and say nothing or go, "Oh, I can't deal with this situation." He would have advice to give. He would have something wise to say. So just turn around and say something like that is just fucking stupid, quite frankly.
Well, since you mentioned it, Ryan, I've plonked on a few slides so you can see here when it's referenced. Benjamin Cook laid it up. There's that scene in Can You Hear Me where she can't find the words to comfort Graham about his cancer fears. She calls herself socially awkward and says she might try again later. It's uncomfortable viewing, but it feels true because sometimes we don't know what to say quick enough. Remember, this is all Benjamin Cook talking, and you just know that the doctor knows that 5 minutes later she'll think of what she should have said. Now, Jodie says, for me, the thing I have in so much of my response to certain things is that I'm so, and I'll just change the slide, sorry, that I'm so aware there's going to be a right response that sometimes I end up saying the absolute opposite. I try to give every version. Maybe they want humor, maybe they want sadness, maybe they want tactile. Throwing every response at them all at once, trying to tick every box. Then I'll think, I've given you everything in that response. And that's what the doctor is battling with in that moment, even if it's a far from perfect reaction. Right, Rachel, your thoughts first of all. The cancer scene is one that every Doctor Who fan refers to as a negative or whatever. Rachel, you've now heard her explanation.
Is this a real explanation? Please tell me this is a lie. Oh my goodness. That scene was terrible. It was poorly written. There was nothing good about it, and she was probably just told to play it that way. And what I'm expecting is she's probably been told to, this is what you've got to say. Say this when you get asked that question. I don't know. I don't know how to react to this.
Joe, if I came through to you, Joe, all right, you can see autism has been associated with this version of the Doctor. And then she's saying that in the cancer scene, since she's now linked it to awkwardness, and awkwardness is then linked with autism. This is discomforting. And
so simplistic, because an autist, in my experience, my mother had strokes, and my reaction was to look up every single thing about strokes, look for all the help I could get about strokes, all the support, all the literature on how to support people with strokes. And I think the doctor, if you want an accurate, what I would do, the doctor would have some sort of solution. The doctor would be thinking, how can I cure his cancer? I must know something about curing cancer. I must come across something like that. The brain will be ticking to help his companion. The brain is going to be like, look, we're going to do everything we can. I'm not going to let you down, buddy. She was so big on fam, yeah? This stupid fam thing. Well, you're going to say to your fam, look, I'm going to do every damn thing I can for you. You're not going to be, I think that's a really stereotypical thing to say that an autist's brain, certainly in my experience, is ticking on how to solve things. You know, how to research things constantly. What can I do to fix this? And surely the doctor of all people, I mean, he put a patch on someone that made them live forever. Do you not think the doctor can come up with something for cancer? Come on.
You know what? Even just saying nothing in that scene and just give Graham a big hug would have been better.
Yeah, that would have been fine.
Absolutely.
I will say, I'm thinking more about answering your question now. Now I've had time to think. I will say that I've got several autistic friends, and one of my friends years ago had a family member who had cancer, and unfortunately she passed away from it. But his reaction, it wasn't like this, you know. It wasn't like what you saw with the doctor. He was genuinely upset that it had happened, and he expressed his thoughts and how he felt about it, which is actually a very, very difficult thing for him to do, but he did it. And I just,
And
I don't know. You just gotta throwing a label on something for nothing.
We're very, I would say one of the biggest misconceptions, maybe Ryan might agree with me, is this: if I'm not showing emotion, it's because I'm feeling so much emotion, I'm overloaded. So I'm feeling so much grief, I can't move. I'm catatonic from it. It's not, I'm feeling so, I'm flooded. It's quite the opposite how we're portrayed.
Like, I don't know what you're like, Joe, but like literally, like my emotions are my worst enemy, and the constant, every day. But again, as you say, we're too busy doing constant. It might come across as that sometimes, but no, we're probably some of the most emotional people on this planet.
I think, obviously, I'm not neurodivergent, but I think with shows, they tend to just think of it in one way, rather than because there's obviously different levels of autism and neurodivergence, but they just go with the one.
The stereotype.
Yeah, that's it. That's the word I'm looking for. A stereotype.
I remember, quite sick of it. I'm sick of it.
Remember, our this is supposed to be one doctor all the way through. So, you know, the Tom Baker doctor, the scene when Sarah Jane Smith was leaving, he will have been emotionally charged as the doctor. And if he was with autism traits all the way through in their awkward, reductive way that they're doing, would have found that difficult to deal with. As it was a very emotional scene. And you could see the emotional rhythm of those two actors and those two characters in that moment. And that character in Hand of Fear Part 4 was not the same character as in that scene with Graham at all. Because, I'm sorry, those were two very different doctors. It was impossible to say that those were the same character. Because I understand what you're saying, that, number one, the doctor isn't autistic. The doctor is alien. So the point is the doctor has different ways of dealing with things that we would maybe try and apportion labels to, but it's impossible to. The other thing is, yes, it is very reductive. And yes, that scene with Graham, as you're saying, a hug, or she should have discussed with the director, look, I really feel uncomfortable. The doctor should give hope. And the doctor just walking away, not saying anything. I don't like this. Is there any way I can keep staring at him, or look as I'm really thinking about it, like Joe and Ryan have just said?
Clench a fist, some sort of, like, even a simple gesture, like, oh, this is, would have gone a long way.
It would have gone a long way.
This is the thing, and this is even more hopeful. One of the most beautiful lines in Doctor Who, in my opinion, was Capaldi, whenever he said, everything ends and it's always sad. But everything begins again, and that's always happy. I know what, just something
Beautiful.
like that would have been just. I know what, nah. And bear in mind, this is an incarnation in universe that happened before Whittaker, and yet,
Yeah.
Get
I
out of
know.
here.
That would have been a nice line to say. That, or not, maybe not in that particular time, but that sentiment. Hope.
Yeah.
AFJ Kernow. As someone with bipolar, my emotions are never in the same place from one hour to the next. I know the emotional overload feeling too. And yeah, it do we want it? I don't know. You might want it discussed in a soap opera if they do it well, or in a one-off drama. Do you want it in Doctor Who when actually it hasn't got the time to deal with this adequately? I don't like this tick box superficiality where we're going, that bit there was autism, that bit there is female representation. It's too cheap.
Yeah, and then we get bloody TARDIS having, it just continued with the TARDIS having wheelchair-friendly TARDIS and no wheelchairs weren't in the bloody TARDIS. Then we got a whole load of disabled people manning, the team assigned to look after Earth. And what the heck were they playing at? It's actually really disrespectful if you think about it. It's
Totally.
a bloody atrocious way of approaching it all.
Then they put all the disabled people in a camp in the reality war. I mean, my God.
Yeah, we'll just segregate you. Yeah, get over there. Yeah, no, it's not good. It's not good. It's tick boxing, and what they're doing, everything that they've done is for a trend. It's following suit. If we don't do this, we'll get cancelled. So we need to do this. And I hate it. I really hate it.
Well, everybody who's just joined us, these are our headlines. This is all from the Doctor Who Monthly magazine. It is a very long interview, and I'm only picking on bits. We're discussing the neurodivergent aspect of the Doctor that Jodie sees. We've got Billie to come. We've got the shooty, the regeneration, timeless children. I better get moving, eh? So basically, she says here, my response to certain things or someone else's response is, well, different. And, people mask to appear non-artistic. Maybe for a lot of people there's an expectation to mask, but the joy of not masking, of seeing the rainbow of personalities and interactions, there was a joy to play.
Oh, Jodie.
Because I think I'm like you. It's close to my heart. Now, the thing is, I did read into this whole magazine. I do think her heart is in the right place. The trouble is, it's clumsily done, as I'm hearing from our friends on the panel today.
Have you got two neuro people in this panel? Yeah, confirmed.
Yeah.
Are either of us acting remotely like Jodie right now? I'm not masking right now. I'm with you fully. Jodie thinks, oh my God, I'm shocked. Sorry, I'm shocked.
If they wanted to go down the route of having someone with of having the Doctor be neurodivergent, then maybe they should have actually cast someone with autism. I think it would have been much better in that sense, because
there's plenty of us out there. There
are more actors every day appearing with Asperger's.
Rowan Atkinson, superb.
Yeah.
The only snag with that argument, Rachel, is that it's like you get a gay actor playing the gay Doctor, and I thought it was one of the worst representations.
That's true.
But I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. So anyway, so she shares a lot more. So we've covered the grey moment, everybody, as you can witness. I'm sorry to hear that, Ryan. Ryan, what you said about your father, actually somebody in the thread, and they'll probably tell me who they were, said that when I think it was Stephen Braddock was saying either partner or friend was dying of cancer, that was such a disgusting scene. I think they had to turn away. It upset them so much.
Yeah, it was fucking horrible, but unfortunately, that's Chris Chibnall's amazing writing for you. Great.
Yeah. So there you go.
Chris, well done, mate.
Yeah, all these progressive writers, aren't they good? Saying the right thing at the wrong time, as she says in part of the article. So, are you up for Yaz and the Doctor? Hey, hold on. I'll cheer you up. I'll cheer you up for a second. Hold on. There you go. I've killed a hoopet. That's cheaters, everybody. So, Yas and the Doctor, the love story. Rachel, you've been waiting all night for this. I know you write to me and you say, Brendan, can we do more about the Yas and Doctor love story?
You are winding me up right now. No, I do not. Yeah, the Yaz and Doctor love story that just came absolutely out of nowhere because fans really wanted it. That one. You're talking about that one, yeah?
I'm talking about that one.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, great.
So here we go. She's got a lot to say. And then there's the love between the Doctor and Yaz. And that is a massive thing for us and a massive thing in the show. These two people, whoever these two people are, whatever they represent, they really love each other. And that's what I loved about it. Even if they find it hard to express, even if the Doctor has difficulties interpreting it, because she's autistic apparently, it's love in its purest form. Oh, I mean, Joe, it was one of my favourite moments of the series, this. It was great, wasn't it?
I don't like it when the Doctor has love affairs. The only one I mildly tolerated was Capaldi and River when they were at the Singing Towers. I did think, oh, I can almost see this. He's an old soul. She's special and different. I never got Tennant falling for a chavvy teenager. That never worked for me. Now again, for me, this was tick box. Let's get the Doctor to be gay, and I hated it. I hated everything about it. They didn't need it, and I hated it. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I mean, Rachel, the Doctor's been gay since 2016.
I know, what are we gonna do?
I mean,
I always thought he was that asexual, you know.
Yeah, I mean, okay, it's not just one version, everyone. Let's remind ourselves before I come back to Rachel, the shooty Doctor.
Yep.
The
Joe Martin.
14th, yep, the 14th Doctor said, oh, I quite like Isaac Newton. And I had a hot summer with Houdini. And then we get Yaz and that Doctor. Since 2006, in nearly a decade of the Doctor being very gay. My representation is through the roof. I am so unhappy. Rachel?
Oh, I wasn't happy about this. This one, though, this came out of the blue, didn't it? So there was no natural progression to it or anything like that. But I really just don't like the Doctor being in relationships. I don't like lovey-dovey going on between the Doctor because it detracts from who the Doctor really was and his fundamentals and how he began. So no, don't like it.
Well, I've got Paul Richards saying, Brendan, the Doctor's been sexualized since the TV movie. Yeah, I know. They had a kiss. I know. Bring on the shooty hoopet, says Grant G. Always, I'll endeavour in a minute. People are not happy about the romance. Joe, that moment, I don't know if you were watching it, it was in flux. And they flew through space and they landed in the TARDIS in a double bed in the console room. Wow, I was triggered.
But it's not. I mean, look, the only rationale I could see was the Doctor's always like women. So yeah, I can see the female Doctor being a lesbian because that actually makes some sort of narrative sense. Yeah, that this being who is the Doctor has always been attracted to women. I get it, and I almost had my little neuro mind wrapped around it. Then they go and make him gay for men. And that just destroyed my brains completely. So Rach, I don't like the Doctor in relationships. The double bed thing was, I mean, who are they writing this for? Who's this for, really?
It's for the people who love labels. You know, the people who be kind to yourself but never to others. I have a concern slightly that how this has all started to happen with the Time Lord able to go from male to female back to male. Yeah. It seems to be selling gender fluidity as a concept that we could all do if we want to, and I think this is dangerous ground.
Yeah,
it is.
It's deeply homophobic, if you ask me. I'm past shutting up about it. There's a lot of homophobia that they're not thinking about here. And it's deeply concerning to me. And I just wish, like my son, who I know I mention often, is not ready. He's 15. He's not ready to discuss and embrace sexuality quite yet. That's why he loved Doctor Who and things like that, because it was kind of free of all that.
Yeah.
And it's everywhere now. It was kind of inherently meant to be a kid's show. And is there anywhere these days we can just get away from it? And the Doctor was great because of that. Because you know what? We could all have a piece of the Doctor that way. That really was. He was available for us all because he was available for nobody. If that makes sense? And now you're putting him into these little human. It doesn't work. It just is not right. It's not right.
It's like they're choosing, isn't it, when the parents need to tell their children about sexuality or trans people. And
Yeah.
really, that's not right. That should be up to the parent, or even if the child asks without any prompting. It's not up to production companies to decide that. It's up to production companies to provide good entertainment.
And it's mixed messages.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
RTD comes at us and says, guys, people in wheelchairs, we can't make them Daleks because that means people in wheelchairs are bad. Well, then, are you telling us that trans people are bad because of, the ginger menace guy who comes out the piano? You're not applying your own rules here.
Nah. Just keeping up with the chat, Super John. That is why RTD was eager to take over from Chris Chibnall, because he teed it up. And when we hear the rumours, as Jodie is saying that she was asked to stay on, you think you weren't asked by RTD by any chance, were you? He soon got her back for the special, didn't he? At the end, with Shooty, which we'll discuss. Paul Richards, RTD played into all the gay stereotypes with Gatwa. How bloody progressive is that? Domgo, Gatwa is too gay even for the gays. I for one agree. It's just not selling it properly. I want positive representation. To be honest, I don't want any bloody representation. I just want a good storyline. I couldn't give a stuff about representation. I tell you what, we've spent a week in Spain and every bloody advert showed Spanish people. We were amazed. I was shocked. I am going to complain to all the authorities in Spain.
How dare you?
Disgusting. What happened to the DEI in Spain? Those are backward people. Disgraceful. We were furious. We nearly stormed out of Spain.
Just like the Chinese. How dare they be full of Chinamen?
Unbelievable. Only in Britain do we have this tosh. Anyway, what was joyous to me, says Jodie, calm down, Brendan, on Doctor Who 2 was that I never knew where we were headed. Yeah. You and me both, Jodie. Mandeep didn't either. So when something big landed, like the double bed, like the Doctor and Yas, was it a love story? It felt completely organic. Oh, Rachel, do you like this media talk? It was very organic. It was a natural progression. Looking back, you realise Chris had been planting those seeds all along. The puppet master.
I never got that at all. At all. My friend Sam, he's an avid Doctor Who writer, and he was just watcher, so, and he was like, "Where the hell did that come from?" I never expected that, and he's normally first to point out something like that's going to happen. Nope, left field, smashed you in the face.
Is the Doctor bisexual now? Then is that the nature of it? The Doctor, or is he pansexual? Is it pansexual now? Is that where we're going? Because I can't keep up with what we're supposed to be thinking of the Doctor.
Confusing. It's convoluted.
I think can I safely say, will the Doctor, I mean, that Jodie Doctor, would she be in a female prison or a male prison? Because if she, I mean, honestly, I want Nicola Sturgeon on my next panel, because I want to ask her, would you have put the Jodie Whittaker Doctor in a female prison when she could any moment regenerate into a man with tackle?
Male prison, you can't rewrite your biology. You can change the outside, you can't change the inside. Male prison.
So there you go. Do you want a bit of Shooty then?
No.
Nope.
Yeah, okay.
I know. I'll try and cheat. Right, Grant G did say they want the Hoopettes for a second, so just before we come to Shooty, here we go. Here's a Hoopette. There you go. You asked for them. 2 more dead. So, scene with Shooty. Right, what did she say about this? Well, she had things to say. As we all know, I know you've tried to have counselling. She came back to meet the Shooty Doctor before he went, "Where's my puppet? Where's my puppet? I haven't been a dad. I'm infertile." Right. Do you get homesick when you're away that long, says Benjamin Cook. Oh, 100%. Before I had a family, home was wherever I was filming. But now it's different. I was so lucky on Doctor Who. Now, I'm chucking this in on the Shooty section because when I did the show yesterday, Shooty said he had to leave Doctor Who, not because of his knees necessarily. He was missing his family and he'd been filming in Cardiff for 5 years on and off, and it was just too much. And meanwhile,
you went to America. Come on, Shooty. You wanted to go to America and shoot your shot.
Yeah. Jodie Whittaker, savvy, caring, took a whole bloody family to Wales,
Yeah.
and they stayed there. So she had it different. She said when she did that Australian drama, the whole family went to Australia. So this thing about, oh, I'm in Cardiff, I'm missing my family. You've got the money, move them. Remember, this woman, I will give her credit. She was pregnant doing the Doctor Who, and she had a 2-year-old doing Doctor Who. She still did it. So Shooty, I don't know what your issue is at all. So this is the Shooty.
Hollywood. Did you see the recent film Shooty was in?
Oh, is that the one with
guy who sleeps with his main line is that he sleeps with lots of truckers and services them. That was the whole point of his role in that film.
God,
isn't that the one with Olivia Colman?
Yes, the Rose. Yeah, that was it. That was Hollywood for our Doctor there. Well done, Shooty. Well done.
Well, he likes a challenge. Anyway, so by all accounts, says Benjamin Cook, you smashed. Oh, here we go. Benjamin Cook. By all accounts, Jodie, you smashed it on set. It's a gorgeous scene, gorgeous, darling, and you're brilliant in it. And she said, I loved it. And I love that Yas gets referenced. This is the bit about Jodie here. Okay, you came back. It's a multi-doctor story. But she goes, I love that Yas got mentioned. Oh, Yas is away. Mandeep's away at the moment. She's abroad somewhere. She can't watch it. So she's been messaging me. Is there something to do with me and you? Because something's going on in my socials. Oh. So I wrote her out the script in WhatsApp. I was like, Shooty says this, I say that. And I'm thinking, what the hell? What is going on? And then he says, my spies on set said, when you were doing the filming, Jodie, you ballsed up a line. She was supposed to say, right, so my spies on set tell me that on one take, when Shooty goes, I love you, Doctor, and you're supposed to reply, I never say things like that. I should say that to Yas. You said, Mandeep. Ooh, how Freudian. But I do love her more than words. There you go, folks. This is the level of it. Who wants to shoot on this one first? Oh, God.
I definitely do not want to shoot on this.
We know you're open-minded, Jodie. We know that you're down with the lesbians. Thank you thanks for reiterating that.
Oh, God. I just think Mandeep, my version was, I heard that Mandeep and Jodie had talked to Chris about the lesbian thing and said, can we do more of it? That was my reading of it. Not that suddenly they got surprised by a double bed and went, oh, are we supposed to be a thing? Are we fam now? Can we make a fam? Mind you, I want to see the scene. Can Big Finish do it? When Yas finds out that they can't have kids because I'm infertile. I'm barren. Me and the Rani are barren.
How did you have a granddaughter then?
Look. There's ways and means, Joe. I'm not going into it now.
They really got that one out, didn't they?
Yes, I know. So anyway, there you go. She loved the Shooty scene for all the wrong reasons, it seems to me. Right. She also says, in your scene together, Shooty's doctor says, I just wish we had longer together. And your doctor replies, well, we always wish that. I wonder what that line means to you. Anyway, she says, I don't like change, and you have to love change if you're in Doctor Who. The lines that affected me the most were always to do with grief. Grief for time or the sense that someone is not in this realm. They're in another universe, another time, another existence, or things like travel, hopefully, because there is something so moving about the fact that Doctor Who moves on without you. You're still very much relevant to it. Now, I have to say, in some elements, I buy into the beginnings and endings argument about Doctor Who, that as a kid, I learnt so much about you have to get used to goodbye to your friends and making new friends in the TARDIS. You know, there was that element to Doctor Who that I was aware of as a kid. I don't know. I mean, Ryan, is this talking to you, or is she talking in a different plane here?
I agree with what you said.
Well, there you go. Tegan. Bye-bye, Tegan. Bye-bye. Hold on. I'm going to soundbite that. Ryan agreed with me. End of. There you go. Brendan, you're right.
You didn't say anything else.
I'm in shock. But yeah, I mean, Tegan saying, I can't do with this anymore, and she runs off, and the doctor has to look morose for a second. Adric dying, he has to look morose, hardly any in Time Flight. You know, beginnings and endings, that sort of thing. I get that. I mean,
some of them have huge impact on us, though. I think one of the best endings for me was Matt Smith with you remember the head he had of a Cyberman?
Yeah.
He was really attached to that head of a Cyberman. That had more gravitas than this one in Yas for me. Sorry.
I thought the best ending was the creature from the pit. Sorry about that. But no.
But you know, they do have impact when it's done right, and
yeah,
none of this was done right.
A lot of people liked when Nissa showed her ending, you know, and said goodbye and seemed to just strip.
I was going to say, everyone, you know, was impacted by Adric going, but I think that might be the wrong thing to say. Because you know, I mean, to me, I was a child when I saw that, so that had a big impact on me. But for some people, they're probably glad to see the back of him, so maybe that's not relevant.
To be fair, Peter Davison's Regeneration had a massive impact on me.
Yeah,
yes,
that was a big deal.
I wonder why.
Yeah, well,
he had a great story to go out on as well, though.
Oh God,
so that
yeah.
makes it even better.
Yeah.
But remember, to save Perry, he had to go and milk the Queen Bat, and I think there's issues there with the Me Too campaign. That Queen Bat was dozing off, and suddenly he has a test tube under one of her breasts, and she was going, "What the hell is this?"
And then weren't the only breasts in that episode. Let me tell you. and
then one of the last scenes that the Fifth Doctor has in the TARDIS, he says, Professor Jackage knew his stuff. And I'm going, what stuff did Professor Jackage do? Was he just kind of milking Queen Bat breasts all day?
Can't he? Garbage knows what I'm talking about.
Honestly, as everybody knows, I'm obsessed with that scene because I just find it so funny because nobody reads into it. You've got the Fifth Doctor saying, do you know what? I've got some milk. I have to say, was she flat-chested? This Queen Bat, she looked massive in the caves of Androzani, and he comes out with this tiny test tube. I'm thinking, express yourself. He should have played the Madonna song, Express Yourself. I mean, honestly, I just find it so funny. But there you go. Now, just for a moment, everybody, just to get your opinion. When I watched The Ghost Monument last night, I will be honest, I reappraised her TARDIS a little bit. Look at the lighting.
Yeah.
Look at the design there. I know the bit not most of us hate. I quite don't mind all that.
Yeah,
I'll ask your opinion in a minute, don't worry. The spinning TARDIS I wasn't too sure about, but there you go. Gimmicks are gimmicks. But you had all this going on. Great lighting. Oh, you had the Gallifreyan iconography. When you think of Shooty's TARDIS and how clinical and Holby City it was, I now reappraise this, Rachel.
Yeah. I mean, other than the centre of the TARDIS, a lot of things in Jodie's era, like design-wise, are absolutely fantastic. I will say that. And yeah, the outside of the TARDIS, you know, and all those bits that you've just shown us are very, very nice. Look at the lighting, the aesthetic. Gives the right mood, even if I do think that the centre of it is very phallic. But, you know, I mean, I can't avoid that.
Yeah. Joe, am I forcing you to reappraise TARDIS interiors?
Well, we did kind of like some aspects of it. I really didn't like her sonic screwdriver and things.
Nor did I.
And you know, I didn't like the center like Rachel either. There was kind of elements of Jodie's time that were, I hate to say it, but if you put maybe, you know, that Richard Ayoade guy,
Yeah.
that nerdy guy in there, and just put him in instead of her, the whole thing might have worked better for me, but it's just
No.
lost to me. And I'm so sorry, Jodie, because I do think you're a lovely woman and I've got a lot of time for her as a person, but it just didn't, I can't connect to it. Even though these pictures look good, I still can't connect to it.
Now, Ryan, I'm asking you to reappraise this TARDIS, but at the same time, in The Fugitive of the Jadoon, I thought we saw an outstanding TARDIS, and it was that one.
Well, yeah, they've reused that set. What, God knows how many times and redressed it? Is that not the same set from An Adventure in Time and Space?
Yep.
Yeah. I do prefer a brighter lit TARDIS person. Actually, no, sorry, I'm lying. I like a TARDIS with actual stuff going on in it. Now, my personal two favourites are McGann's TARDIS and 12th Doctor's TARDIS. Because you got the bookshelves and everything, there's a little bit more going on. I love that.
Yep, 100% agree.
But I like them.
I know what you're saying. I think that was a really expensive set and it looked great. I have to say, very H.G. Wells, it was great. There was something about the colour of this, not the white, shooty, interior with a silly jukebox in the corner. I love this kind of blue whiteness to it, which it does echo the original. In many ways, it is aping the original. But actually, by God, if you're comparing in the same era, this TARDIS interior to the one I've just shown you of Jodie's, although I'm now saying Jodie's is a little bit better than I first thought. Oh my God, can we just please go back to that? It's not hard. Look at that. That's beautiful.
I agree. They don't spend enough time in the TARDIS to even make it, all that intricate anyway, do they? So keep it simple, keep it real, keep it early. But
Look
I do
at
like
that.
them.
Look at Jo Martin there. She just, sorry for interrupting there, but it was just her cadence. Her everything is more. Although I vehemently object to a female doctor, so please don't mistake my feelings on the matter. But Jo there already screams Doctor 100 times louder to me.
Yeah, and Jodie, to her credit, in the article does say she loved having Jo Martin in it. She said Jo Martin as a Whovian. She remarked on Jo Martin just embodying the Doctor. I have to say, as an actor, she give credit to Jo Martin, and I always like that. I have to say, so yeah, there's that. Okay, then, do you want a bit of a laugh now? I'll have to do this again. Garbage Who, give him a sub. He's always lining these up for me. Can't help it.
Leave the girl. It's the man I want.
Woo-hoo! Right, the reaction to Billie as the Doctor. So what did she say? There they are on set, sneaking around. Billie's a bit busy, I think. As my source said, she's not going to go to Cardiff for any nonsense at all. Let's not pretend. So anyway, here we go. Then this is Jodie, remember? Then I got to my mum and dad's, and my mum was like, I've watched you and I play. So I went and watched it, and then I swore, laughing. What the F? When I saw Billie, I couldn't believe it. I loved it so much. I've had so many moments like this with Doctor Who, and I will never cease to be amazed and shocked and excited, even when I'm part of it. It's just brilliant. I was texting David going, did you know? Now, I think this is the difference, Rachel, between the actors in it and the fans. All the actors go, oh, I love it when I don't know what's going to happen next. And I love it when we turn up and go, what the hell, Russell, you're amazing. Meanwhile, the fans are going, what the F have you just done to Doctor Who?
Yeah, it's story of our lives, isn't it, at the moment with Doctor Who? Yeah, this... I wouldn't expect anything less from an actor. They've got to beef it up in as much way as possible and make it sound like they're super excited. She could be lying for all we know.
Well, it's a bit like wherever everybody works, like if there's an office reconfiguration and the filing cabinets get moved, everyone's going, hey, how's this going on? And everyone talks about it. The water cooler's changed. Everybody talks about it. And I think this is just actors going, oh my God, I didn't know that was going to happen in the plot. Hey, this show is amazing. And you're going,
mind you, actors have this really bad tendency, and I know because I do it as well, to reminisce and sort of like share stories with each other. So I actually don't think she's lying there. I think she genuinely went and did all of that, and that's always her reaction to what's happening in Doctor Who. And then she's got to talk to somebody else from Doctor Who and talk to that person from Doctor Who.
Mind you, if she was being honest, Joe, she would have said, God, I was so jealous of Billie Piper's shoulders. How masculine they were. Because she was like the Hulk. Anyway, this bit, just before you come in, she gets the big one. The reference is Benjamin Cook is saying lots of people were watching it live in a kind of cinema and were whooping when they saw Billie. You know, those Doctor Who fans that whoop over and out. And she said, oh, well, that's fair enough. She gets the big whoop. I'll take that. The thing is, the impact she's had, Billie, with Chris, but then particularly David and Billie's tenure. There's such love for her. She's so iconic. But because Billie is a FAM member, for it to be revealed in that moment that she's actually now the Doctor, I think it's incredible. What a journey the fandom has gone on. And of course, Russell T did something again that makes you go, what the F? Because he's brilliant at that. You could have just ended on Shooty regenerating, please. But Billie appearing, that's amazing, don't you think? Don't you think, Joe?
Nope. I actually think it was a completely on purpose kick in the fans' face, an FU from RTD. I really do. I think it was absolute hubris and nastiness, because everybody, I think, most will agree with, if there's going to be a new Doctor, give it to a young lad, a new thing, fresh whole thing. None of that. We don't want Tennant. We don't want Billie. Just no. The whole thing. I nearly threw my shoe at the telly because I saw what he was doing. Now, again, Billie Piper. I've got a lot of time for her as a person. She's great. I don't want to downplay her. I don't want people thinking I don't like her. I like her a lot. But that was an FU to the fans.
Yeah. And I'll just show this slide because then I've finished this item. But Ryan, I will come to you on just your thoughts on this. Where we're seeing Billie is such a ... in big bright colours. It's such a what? Even if you're new to the show, you're instantly like, I need to know what happens next. That's what genius is about. They all seem to think Russell T is bloody genius. Also, Billie is such an amazingly versatile actor. So what a gift. It doesn't matter that she's been in it before. I just thought this is wow. Yes, actors amazed at what actors do and all the rest of it. I'm sat there, Ryan, going, as a fan, nah.
Well, the problem was we kind of knew it was coming, because it was basically, we were sitting having the conversation, and it was like, this is going to get spoiled. We're either getting one of these free endings. That was one of the endings. So we knew weeks in advance that could be a possibility. But here's the truth of the matter. It was very much a grenade thrown in by Russell T Davies at the end, because quite frankly, if the show is going to be coming back, it won't be coming back for at least 2 to 3 years. Russell T Davies will not be there anymore. Billie Piper is not going to want to come back in 3 years and do this. Like, how do you pick up a plot thread 3 years later and everyone's going to be like, what? No, I think the show as it currently is done. That was a little fuck you at the end of the season. When it comes back, now, this is what I'm hoping, and I'm hoping that the likes of the Beeb actually do see a bit of sense and go, well, you know what, actually, we need a clean slate. Not like what we've had in recent years where it's basically, oh yeah, this is a new era, it's more of the same. The show needs a hard reset. And it needs to go darker. We need a really good actor in the role.
Yeah.
But Doctor Who has to go away for a while and lick its wounds, because right now it hasn't got a lot of good graces, either in the public or the fandom.
Yeah.
Well, I can't say much at all. I know a tiny bit about some project which does want to go and take Doctor Who darker. We will know in about a month's time whether the BBC like it or not. So I can't say anything till a bit later.
Got to, Brenda, because Doctor Who was famous for being scary. It was famous for us hiding down the sofa, being shit scared. It was great. That was the best thing. Bring it back. That's all we want.
So, as I'm going, this is your nighttime horror stuff here,
Oh,
everybody.
God.
But just so the thread knows it, I can't see the thread there, but I can see it on the screen. So I can see, yeah, people did not like that stunt at all. Loads of people, from Jim Hillis, Matthew Burrows, they don't like the genius comment. That's a load of slaver about RTD. Doesn't deserve it. Actually, the source said that. He pulled me up as well, because I said, well, he's done some good writing. And the source said, no, he hasn't. Domgo, I'll be dead before this show comes back. Oh no, I'm full of hope. I am full of hope, but the BBC needs to sort itself out. Right. Okay then. Timeless children. This is going to keep you going. Right. So she said, it doesn't change. Right, Jodie Whittaker. It doesn't change how I approach it. But when we talked about it, because I knew that Chris Chibnall had been adopted, and when we chatted about what that was going to mean, I remember saying, you've just unlocked a treasure trove of possibilities. It can be explored. It has a million different directions it can go in. It can also inform me. Now, I know she's an actress, Rachel. I can understand her going, way, this is going to be interesting to play. But we as fans are going, you can get excited all you want, love, but this isn't, nah.
Nah, it's way too convoluted. I didn't even understand it when I first watched it. You know, fully. I had to go and read stuff on it just to understand what was going on. And I was like, oh man, this is bad. This is bad.
Rachel, in a few minutes, I'll show you a bit more of her interview about Timeless Children, where she actually says it was well done because it was not one story, it was over a whole season. And I thought, didn't feel like that to me.
Flux
Worst thing
was
they ever did.
over one season and it was debatable. So,
yeah, why did we have to have the I mean, Joe, what are you thinking when she says how amazing this was as potential? No. Our Doctor Who, 60 years old, and all this potential for new storylines.
You don't need to go back and completely pull up a tree, cut its roots off, plant it somewhere else. You've already been a woman. You're a lesbian now. You've got a whole different person. You don't make any sense. On top of that, we're supposed to now go back to the origins of this character that some of us are frankly obsessed with, yeah? Whovians are obsessives. We love our details. We like things to be how they are. And you put it in a wood chipper. Not even Gallifreyan. Fell out a fucking hole in the sky. A little black girl. Am I in a... Did CERN go and do something weird and I'm in another universe where everyone went mental? Because I can't follow Doctor Who anymore. You took away the fundamentals of the character and expected us to find it exciting. Because this modern way of thinking is to just do that, and that's progressive. There was nothing progressive about it. You've got everything to build on. You have one of the best characters ever created, truly, in fiction. One of the most amazing characters ever. And you decided he wasn't good enough to build upon. You had to completely strip him back and recreate it. No.
And this is what's fascinating. I mean, Anthony Parkinson, so Chibnall's doing a self-insert, a show that is 60 years old, just about.
Yeah, I'm sorry you were adopted, Chibnall. That's awful, but we can explore that in so many other ways, man.
Yeah, I mean, having adopted... look, if you're really going to go down that road, but go and write a soap opera, mate. But the point is, this is Doctor Who. I want him flying out there. I don't want him lumbered with, do you know what? Who's my adopted mother?
I want a Gallifreyan. He's Gallifreyan. We like that. Leave him alone. They were Time Lords. Gallifreyans were Time Lords. We like that. Okay? You didn't need to be murdering children over and over again. That was weird.
And as I said last night, Ryan, I said last night, when, you know, this is all their virtue signaling in text, but their deeds are not the same. The shooty doctor, who obviously was a foundling, and he was adopted too, because he mentioned how he didn't know his family, and he said to Ruby Sunday, I feel the same as you, and all this. Like, remember all that crap? What happened at the end of this 2 seasons? He didn't even say goodbye to her. He abandoned her. So the girl who was abandoned on Christmas Eve at a church was abandoned again. This is the kind, progressive politics.
Oh yeah, Anne lumbered a woman with a child she didn't want. But there we go.
Even though I'm infertile. I know. Honestly, they can't see the stuff. So yes, self-insert by Chris Chibnall. How dare you? It's not your program. You don't own it. Don't make the Doctor you. RTD, don't own Doctor Who and make your Regeneration Tinkerbell fairy dust go everywhere with Regeneration. It's not your show, mate. Anyway, she continues. The beauty of it is, it doesn't necessarily have to wane every Doctor. This revelation happened to my Doctor in my time. You can let it go if you want, not erase it. It's always a lived experience for the Doctor. Oh, do you know what? They want their cake and eat it, don't they? We're going to completely change Doctor Who. If you don't like it, just let it go.
She's using jargon as well. Lived experience.
Yeah.
That phrase has only come into our lexicon fairly recently, this lived experience. Poor Jodie's way down that hole, isn't she? I mean, she's really coming out with the buzzwords and everything.
Oh, well, we had the white male gaze at the beginning. So
Yeah.
that and that. Oh, yeah, it's all happening here. I mean, Rachel,
Oh,
I think you should, as the Queen of the Walk, you should be on this.
Oh, really? You mean I've got to go and buy the Doctor Who magazine just to rip it apart?
I'll send you the slides.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's buzzwords, but unfortunately, in this day and age, a lot of actors have to use them because if they don't use them, then they're in trouble. They're going to get cancelled. It sucks, really.
Yeah, I
No.
get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. You almost can't win. The
Yeah,
trouble
you
is,
can't win.
if
You
somebody
can't just
doesn't,
do a Sydney Sweeney and go, yeah, all right, I did that. Right, great.
yeah,
Like even if Jodie didn't like it, she can't exactly come out in an interview and go, "Oh yeah, he fucked that up doing that.
Yeah.
He'd never have done it." She, you know what I mean? It's
She's probably still under some kind of NDA anyway. I mean,
Probably.
wait, how long ago did she leave? She
Was
might.
it
She might
3
be
2020?
years. 3 years.
3 years. Yeah, she might be.
Do you
Sometimes they
think
can go on for a
Capaldi
while.
liked this? Do you know Capaldi was, mega, mega, mega Whovian? I
Yeah.
wonder if he really liked that as well. Come on. He'd never
Oh.
say it, but come on, you could not have liked the Timeless. No.
The fact
Yeah.
that Capaldi has probably distanced himself from the show completely,
Yeah.
more or less, since he's left,
Yeah.
I think says an awful lot about how he
Yeah.
feels about the show currently.
Jim
I've
Hillis,
not seen a lot of the other actors comment on it either.
Peter Davison has been the bravest, and Peter Davison, Peter Davison doesn't really like it, and I think Peter Davison is now our custodian of the show, and as far as I can
Bless
see,
you, Peter.
He said it right at the beginning when Jodie was cast.
Yeah,
He was
he
like,
did.
nah.
Jim
He's like,
Hillis,
no way.
Jim Hillis in Belfast, The Timeless Children, complete bollocks and a kick in the teeth, even a kick in the bollocks for the fans. It was unnecessary. She says here, but you don't have to play every massive revelation forever. It's there to be picked up or not picked up. A bit, I suppose, like the kiss in the Doctor Who movie. Like, I'm not playing certain things that's happened to David's Doctor. They're just still in there somewhere, beneath the surface. I
Well, that's
detect
huge. That was a huge fundamental. Come on,
Joe.
Jodie.
I
Joe-
just will say though, whoever
Got a
that was
Whovian?
from Belfast, obviously if
Yes.
it's not bollocks, it's bollocks.
Oh, okay. Joe, you know when you said, but this is massive. But remember, she said, I'm not a Whovian, so she doesn't see it as massive, does she?
Oh, that's a problem.
She continues, Rachel. She continues. It's a very long magazine. What's probably very scary is a Whovian writing for your beloved show, which Chris is. He's a Hoov. He proper loves it, is disrupting the law potentially, but having the bravery to do that and to open it up in such a personal way and knowing that every writer who comes in will do the same, taking their thing that's personal to them and putting it in the show. That's why Doctor Who keeps going, why we still want to watch it. Fear me getting in charge. I'll have Who Pets in the corner. Middlesbrough will be mentioned every sentence. And yeah, for God's sake. And there'll be a chihuahua in it. Honestly, no, stop it.
Why is this lifting? If I got to run Doctor Who, I'm a woman. I would love to have been Doctor Who and been cast as oh my God, yeah. But no, it doesn't work. Doctor Who, you know what I mean? Can we just love the character, please? And get out of our own skin? Why are they having to self-insert? When you learn to write, do you not learn I don't get this new way of writing that it has to be all
Yeah.
connected to you. What are you on?
And well, the source has educated me a lot on all this nonsense, because I said if I had a story about my life that was worth telling, would it ever get shown? And he said no. He said you would be changed. Some of your dialogue would be changed. You can't treat a woman like that or say something. That's all. He said they just butcher it. And then if you think what he said about Coronation Street, and then if you think of loads of other stuff, and I've got a news bite coming up on the DEI front and RTD. Honestly, I just think they talk about lived experiences in one way, but in another way, us lot who have got stories to tell will never get on TV because they're not the stories they want to tell.
But it's sci-fi. There's enough to go on to keep it into a formula that we kind of stick to and try and add to. I don't understand this modern way of trying to. I mean, it's a huge subject because it's affected so many IPs. I mean, it's a massive thing and I think it's having to change now because it failed. They've all lost money. Disney's lost money. BBC's lost money. Die-hard fans have walked away. Do you know my son right now is watching Dexter? He's got totally obsessed with Dexter. Now that boy loved Doctor Who more than anything.
Now,
and he's away watching Dexter right now. So there you go.
You've shown me photographs of him as a Matt Smith Doctor, and you said how Matt Smith was lovely to him. Yeah?
Yeah.
But I've also seen you recently show how he's ordered the Dexter stuff, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there you go. I mean, that's BBC. Look at why is my son totally gone over to Dexter? Why the little dude's seeking out a
mass murderer.
They're looking for a sort of masculine energy.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not saying a serial killer is a great thing to emulate, but Dexter's got, he's got his code of honor and stuff, and there is something appealing to my son that Doctor Who's not got anymore. Yeah. So listen, BBC.
Now, Ryan, we're not being fair. Before you go here, Ryan, what made it the Timeless Children's storyline work was that we weren't trying to cram it into 4 episodes. We're able to do a whole entire season on it and then into another season. I was really lucky, says Jodie, because my first season very much catered to anyone who hadn't seen the show before. You could jump in fresh, watch an episode, obviously go back later and catch up, enjoy the frog on the stool and stuff like that. But you could follow it without needing all this knowledge. Then in season 2, Chris shifted gears. He transitions into these huge story arcs. By the 3rd season, the flux runs through the whole season. If you missed an episode, you might have missed something massive.
And it still didn't work.
Yeah, true. Exactly. What is this about season arcs? Just tell one good story.
Oh.
They think an arc covers for crap stories.
Oh, no.
What's our problem with modern Doctor Who, though? Does Doctor Who need these massive... Does the universe need to end every season? No.
Nope.
No.
Nah.
Nope.
It worked for Series 4 with Donna Noble. That was great. They didn't need to do it again.
Yep.
And again.
And again.
And again.
And again. Yeah. And again.
I think this is the reason why I love the season 10 finale so much. Just because it wasn't an end of the world or end of the universe situation.
Yes.
It literally was one massive showdown between the Doctor and the Cybermen.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a good self-contained story.
They should go back to the way Classic did it. Maybe occasionally doing one like the Key to Time or the Guardian stories, something like that. But just tell the stories.
I think there's a good way of doing it. I think there's a happy medium there. Because let's be honest, our problem with modern Doctor Who is you can't cram enough into 45 minutes. But on the flip side of that, there is also a lot of classic stories that are more parts than what they should be. Because they were making TV, I think there is a happy medium there, what we could possibly get episodic.
I think about 3 episodes with a good story.
You could do that, yeah.
I think the Ghost Monument had potential jeopardy there and the droids and everything, but it had to be stretched out in a better way. I was bored with it being this one-track nonsense. Now, just to finish off, Ryan, are you able to stay for a couple of minutes, or do you need to go now?
Yeah, I'll stay for a couple of minutes. That's fine.
Okay, so everybody, before bedtime, her regeneration, she discusses that. Her final moments, I mean, it was sad. So there we go. So you can see Benjamin Cook leads it heavily again, but then there's a bit after this, don't worry. Talking of heightened experiences, one of your most gorgeous scenes, I think, is your regeneration. When you step out of the TARDIS onto Durdledor, or really a green screen with the ocean, the sunrise, and that line, the blossomiest blossom. And she said, yeah, it's a beautiful line. And then he explains to her that it's a Dennis Potter line, that when he was dying of cancer, he said he had heightened sensations sometimes of this might be my last this, my last that. So it's a sad, poignant line of Dennis Potter, the great writer there. So the blossomist blossom. Anyway, she then says this. I was incredibly emotional because everything was changing. I was being very method and growing another heart, but also felt like the most magical thing because it was happening on this particular episode. Of course, this is happening now. Of course, it was the most badly timed thing, but not, it was beautifully timed. She talks about her morning sickness. She talks about how she was puking everywhere. She was trying not to puke in the TARDIS. She was trying, I mean, you know, I have to say, and I was saying to Jamie when I'd read the magazine this morning, I said, in a way, she's the closest to the Doctor because she actually has two hearts. Because she
that's very sweet. I'll give her that. That is sweet.
Yeah, and I will give her that because she does sound really lovable. She does sound like, and I have enjoyed her in so many other things. But yes, she did find it very moving for all the reasons you'd expect. Her hormones were bouncing all over the place, she said. She was suffering from morning sickness. She was trying to keep it a secret, but her costume person knew because she said, obviously, my trousers kept moving slightly. And she said, and her makeup artist, because she kept looking rough as hell because one minute she had morning sickness, next minute she had spots and all the rest of it. Yeah. So basically, two people knew. But yeah, and actually, when you think of Tom Baker, you know, Logopolis, John Pertwee, and you think of all the great regenerations, and you think everybody, you hear that they sat in a corner, did a crossword, they wanted quiet time. I think John Pertwee listened and said, wanted to sign more fan letters. He just went into a space before his regeneration. And then you hear that she was pregnant, suffering morning sickness, and really going through it, and had emotions really heightened. And in a way, I'll give her the line, blossom and it was a gift to her because, a bit like Dennis Potter, who had heightened sensations, sadly, because he was dying of cancer, she said her sensations were heightened. I thought it was a sweet kind of thing. Rachel?
She's great if she was Doctor's cousin, right? If she had been Doctor Who's cousin another Time Lord, that might have been, you know, I would have loved that maybe. Not as the Doctor. She was great as something. And, you know, sorry to jump in. I mean, I like we're all trying to say, we really like Jodie as a person and the energy she brings is very positive. The points you make are great. But no, it's not okay, it was a sweet regeneration. I wasn't upset. I was crying when Tennant didn't want to go first time.
Yeah.
Matt Smith, I was gutted because I'd totally fallen in love with him. But I was not bothered by Jodie's. Yeah, it was pretty. Like I say, if she'd been a side Time Lord character, cousin of the Doctor, maybe I could have felt more for her. But I couldn't feel for her as the Doctor, even with the most beautiful VFX. Sorry,
Rachel. In a way, this is the problem with New Who to me because they try and make them more emotional by making them bigger. So yes, it looked beautiful, like Joe's saying at Durdledor. You know, she was blasting space and had the blossomous blossom. Joy to the world, blasts the universe, blasting, blows up TARDISes, all the other ones. What happened to being modest? What happened to a very quiet, lonely death? What happened to that?
They forgot about it. You know, they've got to be big and extravagant. They've got a bit more money, so they might as well spend it. They just do whatever it is that they want now. They don't listen to what the fans want. They don't pull it back for the fans. They just go, yeah, let's check this book. Let's do this. Let's do that. We can do what we want.
The next thing we got was the next thing after regeneration.
Exactly. We just do whatever we want. Sure, they changed up the regeneration. Give them credit for that, and it was very pretty. Very well done in many respects, but I felt nothing for it. I was like, okay, she's gone. Bye.
Yeah.
You know?
Not enough jeopardy. Now,
No, there wasn't any at all.
Ryan, last word from you before you go. Then I'll have the last word from the thread, and then I suppose we'll all say goodnight anyway. So, Ryan, your thoughts on that regeneration? What she's saying? I was interested in the Dennis Potter bit, but apart from that, whatever.
Well, kind of ironic about the Dennis Potter thing, dying of cancer. So, yeah, if she ever actually went back in time and met him, she wouldn't know what to say to him.
Yeah. I don't think she knew much about it, and I didn't actually, because a lot of people said it's a bit like a John Pertwee line, but it was actually meant to be a Dennis Potter thing. So, as I can see, everybody in the thread, Peter Venkman, her ambassador skills didn't impress me. Stephen O'Neill, Whittaker was not Doctor Material. Grizz Redford, I thought she'd made an okay companion, but she was rubbish as the main character. None of them says Farsight was good as the fifth Doctor's regeneration. Robert Payne, the third Doctor's regenerated on an office lab floor. Now they have to do the deed wide awake and joyful stuff. I mean, the last one, Joy to the World, he didn't have to regenerate. There was no real jeopardy at all. And it's all kind of, did you notice I'm dying, everybody? I loved in Four Weddings and a Funeral. Remember the W.H. Auden poem, Stop All the Clocks, Cut Off the Telephone? Because everybody who's had a bereavement in the family knows that the world doesn't stop. And it's such a sad thing that you're grieving and the world has collapsed. And out there, the world is just getting on as normal. And I like that poem for that reason. But in this case, it seems that every doctor says, stop the universe because I'm dying. And you think, it's diva. It's horrible. Horrible trait. Anyway, thank you, thread. Obviously, my thread was a bit bust tonight. So thanks to Jamie downstairs. That was the Jodie interview, everybody. That was us judging Jodie. I judged the actor, different to the character and different to the stories. I think we've all been doing that tonight.
Yep.
So that was that. Before we go, Rachel, you've been streaming as per usual.
Oh, yeah.
You've got a new logo. You've got a new thumbnail set
Yeah,
up.
she's doing great. I've been enjoying her.
Oh, thank you. Everything. I had a little bit of time off a little while ago, and I was able to do some revamping that I've been desperate to do for a very long time. Finally got it done. So, and some old segments that I used to have before I got suppressed are coming back because I no longer care. I'm just going to do it. So they're coming back, but watch this space because I'm going to be announcing it over several days as to what's coming back. And will anything go or will it stay? I don't know. But yes, spicy channel. And I do Doctor Who, but only on a Sunday.
Live and Unleashed. She sounds as though, oh my God, she's dangerous now. Ryan, you have your business. You're making little props and everything, aren't you, with your little Daleks and everything?
Oh, yes. We've just brought a brand new Dalek kit out, actually. So, yeah, go and check that out. The Berserker Daleks, they are now available to buy in kit form. And keep an eye out as well on the socials because we are currently working on another season of a program that we all love to talk about. I wonder what that could possibly be. So we're working on that at the minute. We did film some stuff last week, and there's more filming to be done. So keep an eye out.
Something tells me, Ryan, me and Jamie need to get on a plane to Belfast, meet you all in a pub again, and maybe find out a bit more again.
That might be a good idea.
Love it. I'd love it. Obviously, I'm desperately obviously wanting to meet Jo as well, but she's dead busy, Every time I say I'm popping up to Edinburgh, she goes, "Oh, I'm out and about. I'm off to here." You never.
I'm just writing a little screenplay that's going quite well with my son, and staying off. I like to be a hermit and hide from people as much as possible. So yeah.
We will meet you. Well, I hope to meet you all one day. I mean, Rachel is down south, so I've got to kind of. We nearly met at Michael Herbert's thing, didn't we?
Yeah, we almost did. It just didn't quite happen.
It will happen. It will happen. I love it.
It will.
Coming on the Sense for you, and I love people. I love to kind of meet them in the flesh. And Ryan's still talking to me, even though he's met me.
I know, surprisingly.
Weird, that, isn't it?
I think it's because I owe him a pint or something. I don't know, something like
Well,
that.
you owe me a pint, and just just because Jamie's so lovely, I put up with you. So
Shh. Okay then. Well, thank you everybody. You've given me your time. Thank you to the thread. We'll be back. I hope everybody's back. Look after yourselves. That was the Doctor Who monthly deep dive on Jodie. Bye.
Bye.